This special meeting of South Lebanon City Council to order.
Allen,
Present.
Carmack,
Present.
Combs,
Present.
Fetter,
Present.
Harrison,
Present.
Spicer.
Present.
Would you please all rise for the prayer and the pledge? Dear Heavenly Father, we thank you for this day. We thank you for the blessings that you have given our country and our community. Let us work together respectfully for the good of our citizens and our community. In your name we pray, amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. The meeting date is June 24th, 2024 at 6:00 p.m. I will open the floor to the public now. Hubert, would you like to say anything? Hearing no one I will close the floor to the public and we will address old business. This is the second reading of Emergency Resolution 2024-20, indicating municipal services to certain real property proposed to be annexed to the city of South Lebanon from Union Township, known as the Frank Snyder property area annexation. Jerry and Andrew will now give their presentation.
Yes, I have fielded several questions from several of you before this evening. I went over with some of you who did get in touch with me what I'd say this evening. And I want to give some background on the situation just so you guys have more information and to give you my legal opinion on this particular issue. So back on December 15th, of 2022 at a regular city council meeting, resolution NO 2022-54, a resolution authorizing the mayor and fiscal officer to sign a pre-annexation agreement with Charles D. Frank and Amy L. Snyder and declaring an emergency was approved by 5 council members. Councilmember Harrison was absent that evening. That agreement dated December 12th, 2022, Jerry, do you have that up? Yeah. Was then signed as a result of the resolution being unanimously approved by the 5 council members who were present. Jerry, scroll down to the agreement and go down to section 1A. In section 1A titled annexation, it indicates, and Jerry has that up on the screen, the owners who are identified as Charles D. Frank and Amy L. Snyder in the agreement shall petition for annexation of all of the Frank property to South Lebanon individually at their sole cost and expense or together with other properties at a proportionally shared cost and expense at such time as South Lebanon may request annexation of all of the Frank property. Attached to the agreement is a map that identifies the Frank property. First, I want to make it clear that these types of agreements are enforceable contracts under Ohio law. So the obligations contained in these contracts are contractual obligations by the parties who sign the contracts. Section 1A allows for a petition for annexation by the owner to include other properties, which I'll get to here in a second. Going to section 2A of the agreement, Jerry, scroll down, please. 2A, commitments by South Lebanon. This is where our obligations as the city come into play. 2A, service resolution. The city agrees that it shall, timely enact and file with the Warren County Board of County Commissioners the appropriate ordinance or resolution required by law indicating what services the city will provide to the annexation territory. That provision requires the city to pass the resolutions that were before you on Thursday evening and that are again before you this evening. As I explained on Thursday evening, the time crunch of the 20-day time frame identified in the statute is why these particular resolutions were determined to be emergencies. The petition for annexation was filed by Mr. Frank and Ms. Snyder on June 5th of 2024, and that puts the 20-day time frame tomorrow, June 25th, 2024, by which these resolutions must be filed with the Warren County Board of County Commissioners. That is a contractual obligation that the city is required to complete. Now, Jerry, could you bring up the petition for annexation? While he's pulling that out, like I said, the petition for annexation was filed on June 5th, 2024. We were going to have that pulled up. But Jerry, did you make copies? All right. Yeah, in that petition for annexation, and I think what part of the issue is, at least based upon the comments that have been made to me and the questions that have been asked, is why or how the additional property known as I'll just call it the park property, got added to this annexation. As I just cited in the annexation agreement, it provides that the owners can tag on other property for purposes of the petition for annexation. There isn't technically a private property owner for that property. It's public owned property that's managed by the Board of Park Commissioners and maintained by the Board of Park Commissioners. The city currently is in possession of the other half of that park property, the property line of which goes directly through the middle of the lake that's in that park. So the thought process was, and this was discussed in great detail during an annexation committee meeting on August 20, I think it was August 23rd, sorry, August 10th, 2023, during an update on the Frank Snyder annexation. During that annexation committee meeting, the entire concept of the park property being added for purposes of this annexation was discussed. The map that's up on the screen was presented, and that additional property, the park property, was identified as the parcel that would be added to the Frank Snyder parcel for purposes of the annexation. Again, the annexation agreement allows that. There's nothing that under Ohio law that prohibits the addition of this type of public owned property to this type of annexation. It's permissible, and right now the petition for annexation has been filed, and that's triggered the city's obligations under the annexation agreement. And so it's my opinion and my advice that council pass these resolutions as emergencies so we can file them with the Board of County Commissioners. If for some reason council doesn't do that, doesn't follow my advice, you're in breach of the contract. You subject yourselves to being sued. And if you don't follow my advice, that creates individual liability upon someone who votes no. And further, it could eliminate insurance coverage for anybody who votes no. So with all of that being said, if there are any questions that anybody has, Jerry and I'll field those questions, and then we'll present the legislation.
On December 15th of 2022, at the council meeting, the resolution 2022-54 was passed with all yeas from the council members present. A law-abiding agreement with the city and the landowners, Mr. Frank and Ms. Snyder, was with all yeas. Those who voted for it were Allen, Burke, then council member, Combs, Madison, and Spicer, all yeas, with Harrison being absent from the meeting due to sickness. Now, we have an existing legal binding agreement with the council and the said landowners. We must do our due diligence to see this through and keep our word. This was ratified on December the 15th, 2022. Voting no would be a breach of contract and breaking the law. Therefore, this council must execute this agreement as written and agreed upon for the city council. With a breach of contract, as well as going against our law director, Andrew Meyer's words, who clearly warned us at the last meeting, this was a blatant, direct violation of the law. Breach of contract to the landowners will come with a very heavy consequences. With breaching a law-abiding contract, you then may open each council person in the city of South Lebanon to a lawsuit for breaking the law. This has serious consequences, such as our insurance carrier can maybe deny this claim because we didn't keep our word, as well as not heeding to the advice from our attorney who told us we would be violating and breaching a contract. This is a real possibility as well. Our insurance rates could quadruple because we are now known for not upholding a contract and keeping our word. We now have become untrustworthy, and our insurance could decide to drop us due to being untrustworthy. We must do our due diligence to keep our word when there is an existing law-abiding contract between the city council and the landowners. With documents being breached, this is very serious law violation on our city and each individual council member, as well as our taxpayers. I do not personally want to be known as for breaking the law nor being trustworthy. We will be known to our citizens for wasting their money, because if we are sued, every citizen in this city will have to help pay for any judgment that is handed down from a judge. The citizens will be very angry, rightfully so, because this lawsuit could have been avoided by us simply doing our jobs that we and follow the law that the citizens voted us in to do. If this is not passed tonight, we will have failed to honor a ratified contract, legal binding contract. Please remember, if the insurance denies our claim, this means every citizen, every council member, as well as our city, will be on the hook to pay the settlement and the court costs, as well as attorney fees. And it's not going to be cheap. Our bond will be revoked through our insurance. It goes away if we're denied or if we're dropped altogether, leaving us on our own to fend for ourselves, because we did not heed the stern warning from our law director, Andrew Meyer. He told us we needed to follow through on this agreement that this chamber made to the landowner on 12/15/2022. He told us this was a violation of the law. Remember that this landowner and city has put thousands of dollars into this annexation, attorney fees, and other fees. He did this with trusting us that we would keep our word and follow through on our word. We must protect our citizens and cause them no harm. I looked at our city charter under section 3.04. if found guilty by the court or any other public body by a majority of vote of gross misconduct, gross neglect of duty, malfeasance, non-malfeasance, or egregious conduct while in office, we have violated his or her oath under office. They can be removed from office. This is my opinion, what I have read, and I believe strongly that going against our law director's stern warning against breaching this contract will be directly violating the law. I'm supporting our law director's position completely to follow the law. The meaning of the word malfeasance is an act that is illegal, causes physical or momentary harm to someone. Malfeasance is an intended conduct that is wrongful or unlawful, especially by a public official or a public employee. This is exactly what is going on if we do not honor this contract between the city of South Lebanon and the landowners, Mr. Frank and Ms. Snyder, that was ratified on 12/15/2020. You are indeed breaking the law and causing harm to others by voting no. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman Combs. Is there any other questions or concerns? Brenda, could you please turn your mic off?
I agree with that statement. I think that we pay our solicitor to give us legal advice and keep us, legally in check. And I'd like to say that I agree with Andrew's statement too.
Are there any more? Jerry, did you want to say anything?
No, I think Andrew covered it.
Okay,
I do want to make one additional comment. I was reminded by Council Member Combs when she made the statement about the potential consequence of a no vote on future deals with people who may want to annex into the city. If the council takes the position that it's not going to approve or support this annexation despite the contractual obligations, you're going to send a message to other people out there that we probably shouldn't be people who you do business with because we breach contracts. And that's not a good look, in my humble opinion, for the city as a whole.
can I say one thing, Andrew?
Yeah.
It will also cause issues with our county commissioners that we have a good relationship with, and I'd like to keep that in mind as well. And that's all I have to say personally about this. I want to thank Andrew and Jerry for their due diligence on all of this, and I am going to call for a motion to approve. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, I didn't see you.
I'm just want to, for the record, I don't like the position that I find myself in. I never was part of this in the beginning. I would have never agreed with it in the beginning. And with everything that's been said here today, I guess I pretty much have no choice in what I need to do. But I'm just not happy about it. That's all I want to say.
Well, and that is an issue that you brought to my attention before this evening. And sometimes and I explained my response to you. And sometimes as a council member, you find yourself in a position of having to make a decision on something that was approved before you got here. That's just the nature of the business that you're in. If something is approved by a prior sitting council, such as this pre-annexation agreement, that does not get one of you out of, if you weren't there at the time, making a decision and voting on something that's before you today or at any future point in time. There are circumstances which have been described previously by Council Member Spicer and Council Member Fedor about a potential conflict of interest. Those are issues that are legitimate. That's their decision if they choose to exercise that right. But like I said, sometimes you're in a situation where you got to, as a new council member, do your research, do your due diligence, get the information that's necessary, and then you're called upon to make a vote. That's your job as a city council member. And I know that it's uncomfortable at times. It's not easy. It can be very difficult, but that's what you were elected to do. And you're also elected to abide by the contracts that the city is entered into and has obligations under.
Are there
Just
any
one-
more questions?
Yeah, just one quick comment. The park property, it's not going to change anything that's how the parks ran. But it actually gives more consistency to the laws that govern the park, so that if something happens on the park, it's all under the city of South Lebanon's jurisdiction. If there's any zoning questions, it's all city of South Lebanon, not to split jurisdiction. And it doesn't, we don't have any control. It's still a county park. County park directors are the ones who have control over that property.
So I do have actually a statement. So when that was signed in December of 22, that was December of 22, 18 months ago. I understand when I read it, when Jerry sent it to me, it says additional, they can pop in anything they wanted to. What do you consider timely? It's been 18 months. What do you consider timely? Because that's what it said, in a timely manner.
Timely is a subject to interpretation, obviously, but there's no provision in the contract that would get in the way of or be a barrier of approval, given the time frame that it's taken to file the petition.
Thank you.
Are there any other questions? If not, I'm calling for a motion and a second to approve as an emergency Resolution 2024-20
Brenda
by
Combs.
title only, I'm sorry.
Brenda Combs. Motion to approve as an emergency by title only.
Mary Ann, I second. Sorry. I was waiting to say that.
Allen,
Yay.
Carmack,
Yay.
Combs,
Yay.
Better,
Recuse.
Harrison,
Yay.
Spicer.
I recuse myself.
Motion carries. Now we will have the second reading of emergency resolution 2024-21 regarding incompatible land uses and zoning buffers with respect to property proposed to be annexed to the city of South Lebanon with adjacent land remaining in Union Township, known as the Frank Schneider Park Area Annexation. I will need a motion to approve
Brenda Combs, motion to approve
by title only. Excuse
by
me.
title only as read.
Let me do that again. I need a motion to approve the emergency resolution 2024-21 as by title only.
Brenda Combs, motion to approve the emergency resolution 2024-21 by title only.
Mary Ann Harrison, I second.
Allen,
Yay.
Carmack,
Yay.
Combs,
Yay.
Fetter,
I have to recuse myself.
Harrison,
Yay.
Spicer.
I recuse myself.
Thank you. Motion carries. This meeting is adjourned.
We need a motion.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I need a motion to adjourn.
Mary Ann Harrison, make a motion to adjourn.
Second,
Motion second.
all those in favor? Meeting adjourned.